Chair, Commissioner Moran,
Here.
Commissioner Cound,
Here.
Commissioner Strongman,
Here.
Commissioner Kwok,
Here.
Commissioner Klopp,
Here.
Vice Chair Nading,
Here.
Chair Anderson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And you may have noticed it took longer to call the roll than it has in recent
I did.
weeks. We should probably introduce ourselves all again because it's been about 2.5 months since we last met. And actually managed to get a quorum. Thank you to the City Council for appointing our 2 new members who both come with a fair amount of public service in their background. Cherise Cound, most recently with the Mount Diablo Unified School District, and Brenda Moran, most recently with the PROS, which is the Parks, Recs, and Open Space Commission, if you're not aware of that. So welcome, and we'll get to know you better over the next weeks and months and years. Thank you. Do we have anything on the consent calendar?
We do not have anything on the consent calendar now, but staff would recommend moving public hearing item 4A, 2800 Mitchell Drive Extension, to the consent calendar.
Okay. Anyone have an objection to make that change? If not, all right, we'll put that on the consent calendar.
Do we need a motion and a second on that?
Okay.
So we need a motion and a second.
Anyone like to move?
I would like to move that we move item 4A to a consent calendar item.
Second?
Second?
Call the, I was Cherise.
Okay.
If you would call the roll on that.
Commissioner Klopp,
Yeah.
Which one?
Can I start?
Commissioner Klopp,
Yes.
Commissioner Cound,
Yes.
Commissioner Strongman,
Yes.
Commissioner Kwok,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nading,
Yes.
Chair Anderson.
Yes.
That's 7-0.
Can I vote too, Chip?
Yeah. You missed Commissioner Moran.
I know you put me at the far end here, but
And Commissioner Moran.
yes.
Thank you.
Chip is a bit nearsighted, that's all.
Yeah.
Very good. Now that we've moved that to the consent calendar, we'll
No, need a motion and a
open
second. on
the
consent.
consent calendar. But first, I have to ask if there's anyone on the commission, I assume not, but also anyone in the public who would like to remove anything from the consent calendar, there being only one item on it. Seeing no one jumping to the podium, I'll assume that that can stay on the consent calendar, and I would entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Second. Call the roll on that motion.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Kwok,
Yes.
Commissioner Strongman,
Yes.
Commissioner Moran,
Yes.
Commissioner Cound,
Yes.
Commissioner Klopp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nading,
Yes.
Chair Anderson.
Yes.
All right, 7-0, the ayes have it.
All right. We'll move on to the public communications. If you remember the public, you have 2 chances to speak at the meeting. One is when a particular item comes up, you have a chance to speak on that item. The current public communications time is if you have something that is within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission but not on tonight's calendar, you may speak right now. Does anybody wish to speak? No one has indicated they would. So we can close the public communications, and I will ask with regard to the items tonight, has anyone had any ex parte communications they'd like to disclose? Okay. Very good. Then the first public hearing has already been approved, the consent calendar, so I'll move to item B of the public hearings, and that is that is item B. Sorry. That's a general plan and zoning text amendment to comply with state legislation. Have a staff report?
Yeah, and I'd like to introduce Crystal DeCastro. I don't know if you've met our principal planner, and she's now an interim principal planner. She has been here 6 to 7 months, and I this might be her first time in front of the Planning Commission. So,
Welcome.
Thank you.
A lot of welcomes tonight. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Chairperson Anderson and members of the Commission. Thank you for the warm welcome, and I'm happy tonight to present the following item, which is a request for the Planning Commission to consider and adopt a resolution recommending that the Council adopt a resolution amending various sections of the zoning code and a general plan amendment. Sorry, can you hear me now? Okay, great. Oops. Okay. As an overview of tonight's presentation, we'll go over the purpose of the amendments and why they're important, the proposed general plan amendment, the zoning text amendments, and finally conclude with the findings and recommendation. As California continues to enact legislation aimed at increasing housing production and streamlining local land use regulations, cities are required to make the corresponding updates to the general plan and zoning code to remain in compliance. The proposed amendments are primarily administrative and procedural in nature. They serve to align the current general plan and zoning ordinance with existing state laws and that have already taken effect, and the city is already implementing. This will help streamline our processes by providing clarity and consistency throughout the general plan and the zoning ordinance. So the first one is a general plan amendment, and it relates to the growth limit policy 9.3. So 9.3 is a growth control policy which limits the construction of residential units through a housing cap. However, under the 2019 Housing Crisis Act, or Senate Bill 330, cities are prohibited from setting residential growth policies that conflict with their obligation to provide housing. In addition, the city's housing element identifies the removal of this growth control policy. Therefore, staff is recommending to remove the policy from the general plan to be consistent with the state law and to be compatible with the city's goals to promote the production of housing. The next 5 slides are related to the zoning text amendments, and the first one is bedroom additions. Under the existing zoning code, it provides that bedroom additions involving legal nonconforming structures or uses would require a minor use permit, and that would be subject to a public hearing before the zoning administrator or the planning commission. Under Assembly Bill 916, cities can't require public hearings for any projects that add up to 2 bedrooms within an existing home. This amendment updates the zoning code to align with AB 916, allowing non-conforming bedroom additions to be reviewed through a ministerial process instead. One exception to this is if the project triggers related parking requirements, such a project would be reviewed and approved by the community development director. The next amendment affects permit expirations. Under Assembly Bill or AB 2117, the time spent in a lawsuit or a legal proceeding can't count towards the timeline of a permit expiration. The amendment updates the zoning code, pausing the expiration timeline for the approved project while a lawsuit or a legal proceeding is occurring. And then the timeline would then resume once the legal matter is resolved. The next amendment is noticing requirements. Under AB 2904, the noticing period for zoning ordinances or an amendment to a zoning ordinance, like what we have tonight, is increased from 10 days to 20 days. This would only apply to public commission hearings, not city council hearings. And then the next one would affect accessory dwelling units for multifamily residential lots. The current code provides that any type of multifamily lot can have up to 2 detached ADUs. This has been superseded by Senate Bill 1211. The number of allowed ADUs is now based on whether the multifamily lot involves a proposed development or has an existing development on the lot. So per 1211, a lot with a proposed project is still only allowed up to 2 detached ADUs. However, under this new law, an existing lot can have up to 8 detached ADUs or as many existing homes there are in the lot, whichever is less. And finally, A few minor code updates are included for internal consistency, as you can see here on this slide. And in conclusion, staff recommends the Planning Commission adopt the resolution as found in Attachment 1 of the staff report, recommending council approve the proposed amendments based on the findings that they're consistent with the state law, consistent with the general plan and housing element, and exempt from CEQA, as they only involve administrative and procedural updates to the code and the general plan, which is not considered a project under CEQA. Also, as part of your motion, please note that Attachment 1, page 1 of the draft resolution, there's a minor correction required. Under Section 1 Findings, item number 5, this sentence should indicate the date as June 26, 2025, not 2024. And this will be updated prior to formal adoption. And this concludes the presentation, and staff is available for any questions.
Are there any questions for staff? Must have been an excellent staff
Okay.
report. I do have a couple of questions, though. Are there any changes that are proposed here that are not required by state law?
No, these laws are already in effect, and the city's already implementing them.
Okay, so there are no other things that are thrown into the same basket?
Exactly. There's no extra.
And in Exhibit B, trying to find the particular note, it mentions that the decision that was to be made by the community development director. What I didn't see there was any criteria on which they would make those decisions. I'm wondering if that's covered, if that's simply covered by state law, or whether there's some other place where that's.
So that would be a case-by-case basis. The community development director can ask for additional analysis, but the main item to remember is that they couldn't go to a public hearing, and it would then be referred to the community development director if there's any question at staff level.
And so I gather he has a fair amount of discretion as to how he makes that decision.
Yes, how they would either ask for an analysis through parking, or just take a look at the site where the applicant would have to prove that the parking wouldn't be required.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else? No? All right, thank you very much.
Okay, great.
Move on to the public hearing on this item. The applicant is the city, isn't it? So, we don't need to give them 10 minutes to explain it all again. Are there any speakers who would like to comment on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion. Vice Chair.
I personally am excited to see 1211 on here. I follow a lot of Casita Coalition and what they've been doing, and this bill was passed by Senator Skinner. And so to me, that's something exciting. 880, and I know that the city of Walnut Creek has done a ton with regards to even allowing ministerial approvals to happen by way of even updating plans that can easily be submitted to the planning department in order to obtain, because it's exceedingly difficult these days to even get a permit or to be able to do anything. So to me, this was very exciting when I saw this, especially since it is possible. Sometimes folks don't realize that multifamily is actually townhomes also. And so it can be very easy to have an ADU attached or detached, which the law allows for detached ADUs to happen. So I just wanted to say that.
Anybody else? Actually, if I could ask one more question. So if I had a multifamily, if I was planning a multifamily development, that would allow me to build 8 ADUs as well, detached ADUs. So could I have, in fact, an 8-unit development and then a cluster of ADUs, little ADU village alongside it? Is that the kind of way that they look at these things?
You would be able to, it would think of it like as a 1-to-1 ratio, so you can have a cluster of ADUs.
But-
I don't know if legal has anything else to add to that.
Do the ADUs have to be associated with each unit, or is it simply there are 8 ADUs associated with the entire development?
It would be with each unit, with each primary unit
Okay,
that's
So it-
existing
so
on the
it's-
lot.
It's depending on the number of units that are on site.
Right.
So if you had 4, you could do 4.
right, yeah,
If you had 9, you could do
Right.
8 because it's capped at 8.
right.
So then you could, depending on how the site is laid out, you could have that kind of group of ADUs, but it's corresponding to the units that are on site.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, just to clarify, for a vacant lot or a proposed lot that's proposing multifamily, they're only allowed to have 2 new detached ADUs.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's the distinguishing factor.
If I had a 8-unit multifamily house there now and some extra land, I could
You can have 8.
go to town. Okay, very good.
Exactly.
Thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion then. Any more discussion?
So I move the acceptance of the resolution amending Title 10, Chapter 2 of the Walnut Creek Municipal Code, amending various sections to comply with state housing and land use laws, along with minor code cleanup and a general plan amendment in compliance with the program H4G of the 2023 to 20, oh, there's a date typo, housing element, 2031.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, would you call the roll?
Okay. Commissioner Klopp,
Yes.
Commissioner Strongman,
Yes.
Commissioner Moran,
Yes.
Commissioner Cound,
Yes.
Commissioner Kwok,
Yes.
Vice Chair Knighting,
Yes.
Chair Anderson.
Yes.
7-0.
As you might have guessed, we're moving on to item C. And this is the Holcomb Court condominium design review and subdivision map, as well as a variance application. And as for the staff report.
Good evening, Commissioners. Simmer Gill, Senior Planner with the City, and we are here tonight to consider the tentative map, the design review, and the variance for the Holcomb Court condominium project that will be located at 15 Holcomb Court. The application number is Y22074, and the applicant, Ray Jerome, representing the project, is here tonight. And from the city, we have the senior engineer, Ryan Cook, and myself to answer any questions that you may have after the presentation. And just to quickly orient you with the site, the 23,000 square foot lot is currently vacant, and access is provided through a 30-foot wide private easement that stems from San Miguel Drive. And the site is zoned multifamily residential, and the surrounding uses consist of duplexes, single-family homes, as well as multifamily homes along Holcomb Court. And this site is also listed in the city's housing element as an opportunity site, which essentially means that we envision residential development on this property. And here are some photographs that are essentially just showing what the current vacant site looks like. And the photo at the bottom is showing you the location. If you're all the way down on Holcomb Court, near that existing 7-unit development, multifamily development, and looking up to the right side is you see this vacant lot. And here's a closer look at the lot layout. It is a 23,000 square foot lot. Of that, there's a 30-foot wide access easement. So after netting that out, the buildable area is 18,097 square feet. And access is provided through this easement to 2 adjacent homes. And here's a closer look at that. There's a photograph that shows the existing easement that's providing access to that home, which is 11 Holcomb Court. And then further up that easement is 17 Holcomb Court. And to the right, the street that goes down is, again, the area I talked about earlier, which is the existing 7-unit multifamily development. Moving on into the project scope, the project does propose a 2-story, 5-unit condominium development. Each unit will have a 2-car garage, and it does consist of a mix of 3 or 4-bedroom floor plans. The units range from 2137 to 2350 square feet. Each unit will have a private deck that will face the rear yard. New landscaping is also proposed. 18 new trees are proposed as part of this project. And a variance is also requested as part of this project for the flow-through planter wall and the uncovered ADA parking stall that will encroach into the front yard setback, which I will go into more detail later in the presentation. And I just wanted to go over some project history. In 2008, this project, not this project, but a similar project for a 5-unit development on this parcel was proposed and approved by the Design Review Commission, and then subsequently it went before the Planning Commission for the approval of this tentative map. And then in 2012, the existing triplex that was on that parcel was demolished for anticipation of proposed construction of that project. However, since that time, the entitlements expired, the map expired, and today what we have before you is a new project, but again, similar layout, 5-unit development. And it did go before the Design Review Commission for a study session where Design Review Commission reviewed it and provided feedback on the design and a recommendation to move it forward to the Planning Commission. So tonight, the Planning Commission's role is to consider the tentative map, the design review, as well as the variance. And as part of that DRC study session, the Design Review Commission did make several design-related comments. They are listed on this slide. However, I believe the applicant also has a presentation tonight, and he will go into more detail of basically all of these comments have been addressed, but he will show how it changed from when DRC saw the plans. And here is the existing and proposed site plan. So access to the site is provided through that 30-foot wide access easement extending from the cul-de-sac bulb of Holcomb Court. And easement also provides shared access to the 2 properties, which I have identified with the red star on this exhibit. And moving on to the building elevations, this is the front building elevation that will be facing inwards towards the shared driveway. And it does have a stepped elevation that's responding to the site slope. And all units do meet the required 15-foot front yard setback. And the, as you can see here, the facade is articulated with varied roof lines. And the materials consist of a combination of smooth stucco, lap siding, bronze metal window frames and railings, and a variation in the color scheme. Here is the rear building elevation, which faces downslope towards South Broadway Street. Again, as mentioned earlier, each unit will have rear yard decks, providing outdoor space for each unit. And as part of Design Review Commission's comment, the applicant has incorporated privacy walls between each deck. And this setback will also maintain the 15-foot rear yard setback. And here's the side building elevation that's facing the adjacent multifamily and residential uses to the north on Holcomb. And here you can see a closer look at that flow-through planter, what it will look like from the street. And this is the side elevation facing 17 Holcomb Court, which is the closest adjacent residential neighbor. The second floor was stepped back to reduce the massing and to provide a greater setback, 10-foot setback, considering the proximity to that neighbor. And here is the color materials that is proposed for this project. The units 1, 3, and 5, which I've identified with the star, will incorporate the colors that are shown here, which is the bright white stucco with medium gray accents. The garage doors will also be painted to match the stucco, and the lap siding will be painted a brown color, and the entry door has like that deep blue color. And here is the other two units, 2 and 4, which will have a separate color palette, which is a warm gray used as the primary stucco color, with accent walls painted a deep charcoal gray. And light gray will be used for the garage doors, and the entry doors will have a burgundy reddish color for the doors. And just to quickly go into the floor plans, all of the units, with the exception, I believe, of Unit 5, are 2-story layouts. The first floor consists of garages, laundry room, 1-bedroom bath, family room, kitchen, and dining room. And the second floor consists of bedroom bathrooms, loft, and the private outdoor decks. And here is Unit 5, which is the largest of the 5 units. It does include a 3rd level due to the grade. Bedrooms and laundry room is located on that lowest level. And this unit includes 2 rear-facing decks, one on the main level and one on the upper floor. And here is the landscape plan. 29% of the site will be landscaped. 20% is required under the city's design standards. The landscaping consists of new grasses, shrubs, and 18 new trees that consist of 15-gallon container to 48-inch box trees. And new permeable pavers are also proposed along the driveways. The new flow-through planter will also be will have the shrubs that are listed, and there is a rendering of the proposed 6-foot-tall perimeter vinyl fence that has a wood-like design. And as mentioned earlier, the project is requesting a variance due to the site-specific constraints, specifically due to the shape, topography, and the ADA accessibility requirements. The new flow-through planter wall and the ADA space will encroach, I believe, 3 feet 6 inches into that 15-foot setback. The flow-through planter is located and sized to capture site drainage and runoff, and also for the treatment of the stormwater for this project. It is located outside of the roadway easement and would not obstruct any of the utilities or fire access roads. And due to the accessibility requirements under building code, the uncovered ADA stall must be located closest to the accessible unit on this site, which is unit number 2. And on this, to the right exhibit, you can see a red dashed line. That's basically the 15-foot setback line. And as part of this project, staff did determine that this project qualifies for a CEQA exemption under infill developments, as it does check off all of these requirements that are listed on this slide. And with that, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission determine the project is exempt from CEQA and approve the tentative subdivision map, the design review, and variance subject to the conditions of approval in the draft resolution. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And for the record, I did want to mention that we received 3 letters of expressing concern for this project, and those letters have been included as part of your agenda packet tonight, and copies have been placed in the back for the public as well. Thank you.
Any questions for staff? If not, thank you very much. And we do have an applicant on this one, so applicant will have 10 minutes to present whatever they'd like to present.
And just use this to move it.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ray Dorme with Mastercraft Residential and Holcomb Partners, LLC. I want to first thank Samir and the rest of the staff for getting us to this point. We've been involved with this project since 2015. It's been quite a journey to get to this point. And we're going to go through some of the history of what we were doing over the past 10 years, give or take. When we took over the project in 2015, or at least partnered up with our developer friend, we were in the process of finalizing the plans for submittal into engineering and building and safety in order to build it. There was some confusion regarding the expiration of the map as it pertains to AB 208 and AB 116. So during that period, the state was extending maps, and because of the pandemic, not pandemic, but because of the downturn in the market, and we actually thought the map was going to expire 1 year later. It was brought to our attention by, it expired in 2016, and we thought it was going to expire in 2018, or else we would have submitted the map extension. Andrew Smith at the time was one of our planners, said, why don't you go ahead and bring this back, kind of redesign it. We were thinking maybe a couple of different things going with the project. It should only take maybe 6 months to get it through, 6 to 8 months. Taking a little bit longer, but during that time, we took a look at the overall property in a couple of different ways. We looked at maximizing the number of units. The code itself allows us to build 10 to 11 units on there. And when we looked at it and we were talking to some of the neighbors, we just realized that it was really too dense for that location, both from a slope standpoint and also a parking standpoint. So we decided to go back and just go with the original plan, modify it with all the new codes, water quality being one of them, and resubmitting it. And it just took us a while to get here. We had the pandemic in place. We had a bunch of things happening. And so it took a little bit longer to get here. But DRC had a great review. I think we had a good time reviewing that, making some changes to the plans. And then, we had a planner that left. And then we're here today. So in any event, we kept the units to 5, went to design review in 2021, and we are here today. So I want to go through some of the old plans, and these plans we dug up. These were the original tentative map plans. And a couple of things that you notice right now is they had detached garages. And the site was impacted a lot more than the new plan. I'll show you what we're talking about here in just a bit. I'm going to show you a couple of the elevations that we were working with before. This is the elevation from the back. A lot of wood involved. There's some railing, a lot of windows that probably wouldn't pass Title 24 today. And just overall colors probably need to be refreshed. Here's another view, pretty sizable overall. This didn't have a water quality basin, which we probably would have had to incorporate in our new design. So somehow we would have had to fit that in some way. This slide represents the DRC slide, and it's very similar to the final slide, but with adjustments, and we'll see that here in just a bit. This is the back elevation looking up the slope at the property. This is the front elevation, and I'll go through some of the major changes that we made. I think Samir alluded to some of those already. At the DRC meeting, they asked us to rethink the oak trees, or at least replace them with something different. Elevation needs work. The decks, we needed some privacy between some of the units. Window alignment needed to be looked at. Access to the rear site. So how's the landscaper going to go back there and mow the lawn? So we looked at that. Screening at the north elevations and adjacent to Holcomb Court. What isn't in here is the flow-through planter. And what they want to do is reduce the massing of that planter. And we did that with the step wall. I'll show you here in just a second. Provide fence samples, including board and posts, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. We did have some samples that were sent to the city, and I believe they were lost. Stucco, that we had some fence samples. I tried to get some for this meeting, but they arrived at my office today. Path of travel had to deal with ADA. More details on the finishes, which I've provided some here for you tonight, plus I have a few others to show you and share. The retaining wall, we'll talk about that here in just a second, and some additional details to the plans. We refined the colors and also a construction plan, how's it going to be staged. So those are the main comments that came out of DRC. There's a few others that we addressed that were not as impactful, but we'll go through some of those also. All right, so regarding the site plan, from the old site plan to the new site plan, we actually shifted these units towards the driveway, therefore freeing up additional open space. We widened the driveway. So the driveway as it stands today is about 22, 23 feet, give or take. We're going to pave an additional anywhere from 2 feet to 8.5 feet to our line there. So in reality, that's a pretty sizable driveway for anybody. I mean, typically what, 24 feet, give or take, for a drive aisle? So it'll be fairly large for anybody going in and out. We added a low planter there to the float planter, and that's really to break up that view. Coming in, as you're driving in, you're going to see, you know, a low planter with some plants in front of the low planter, plants in the planter itself, and then plants in the back planter. So that was also a recommendation from the both the DRC and also one of the planners, the previous planners. The flow-through planter has a low wall at the entry there. It ranges anywhere from maybe a foot to 3 feet when you actually transverse and go down the slope there. That area there is going to be planted, so it's just not going to be left bare. You're going to have, you know, shrubs and trees, and well, probably not trees, but shrubs in there. And I have an example of one I built. This is a planter I built in San Diego. A lot of shrubs. This is probably about 4 or 5 months old, maybe 6 months old. We put some mature plants in there. You see some trees in there. Looks very nice. So you're coming up there, you're not looking at something barren at all. One of the other major impacts would be that we redesigned Lot 1, the second story. We actually pushed that back farther to give our neighbor a little bit more privacy. Part of the DRC comments, we aligned the windows that you see there, so they're stacked over each other. Privacy walls in between the decks. They're about 5 foot in height. We added additional gate by unit number 1. And we also have a gate down there over at by Holcomb Court. I don't think that's going to be used as much as the one over by Lot 1. We also changed out the trees. We added additional landscaping in various areas throughout the project and trees that the Planning Commission wanted. It's just to really screen and help soften the building altogether. Okay, so one of the questions that we've been going around would be the use of a vinyl fence. And we've used these higher vinyl fences in other projects. Personally, we'd go with wood or vinyl. Either one I'm fine with. But what we're finding out over the years is that the wood tends to fall apart. It tends to get termites and whatnot. So we're proposing a vinyl fence, but we're not actually stuck to it. If the commission decides they want to go back to wood, you'll save me money, but this is probably a better product. The cable rails, I'm going to be using these for the balconies. Those are the garage doors. They're actually metal with glass in them. And construction areas. So during construction, we have a couple of areas here that we can use for staging and also parking. So we'll be leaving that drive aisle clear during the whole process. And there's plenty of room there to put your lumber. And of course, there's going to be some coordination, you know, depending on what trade comes in there at what time. There might be some street parking. There might have to be some shuttle in. There might be something, but I think that's plenty of room. In addition to that, you see that shaded area, part of the driveway that we're going to span. You can actually park there also because that's not paved at this point. So really, we can put our fence on the edge and use that area also. So I didn't shade it in, but it's some additional space in case we need it. That concludes my presentation. This is the final drawing. Oh, another thing you want to look at would be on these side windows here, what we did on all the elevations, we actually inset them. So the old elevations were flat. They didn't have any kind of details, any kind of reveals. Now we've added a little bit of detail to them so you can get some depth to them, a little bit of offset. And that just gives the whole building, you know, that good feel. So during the process over the last, I want to say, 2 months, I've actually been talking to some of the residents, and a few things have come up. One has been obviously the traffic. There will be, obviously, with the new units, some traffic coming in. I think we have plenty of parking there. You know, all the garages there have parking. We have some additional parking in the driveways. The other thing that came up with the residents would be the potholes on Holcomb Court. We agree. I mean, over the years, we've seen it kind of go down. I'm thinking what we're going to do, number one, is as soon as we get approved and maybe 30 or 40 days out there, we'll fill in those potholes. Oh, we have, okay. So let's see what we're doing here. Okay, here we go. It's pretty bad. The rains over the last years have really hit it hard. It needs to be, no matter what, it needs to be looked at. Now, I've had some residents tell me they like the potholes because they like the speed bumps. Personally, I think, and the other folks that support, and some of them may have written a letter, they want them filled in. So I propose filling them in, doing construction, then coming back and do a proper R&R on there to the base. Okay, then coming in and doing a slurry seal from the public street all the way to our property. It'll make it look good, I think, and we're doing that afterwards because obviously during construction, you're gonna have more damage to the street with all the heavy trucks. It's just the right time to do it. But in the interim basis, let's get the potholes fixed. These are some of the details that we've given to planning to look at. But I think that's all I have for tonight. I'm here for questions. I have my engineer here regarding any kind of hydrology issues or engineering, and take any questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Questions? Commissioner Moran.
Thank you. Great presentation. I appreciate the changes that were made after the design review, especially seeing the before and after pictures. I think that what you have here is a lot more aesthetically pleasing, and it's just coming from somebody who's looking at this for the first time. Mm-hmm. 2 or 3 quick questions I had is my gym's over there, right? So I look up and see, and it's a pretty severe cliff face.
Correct.
The fence is going to go, I assume, a couple feet before the fence, but I just wonder if there's any thought to, like, once you're inside the backyard, you can't get outside the fence, right? You know,
No, you can't.
Right, because if I'm living there, if I got a couple of young kids, I would worry. That's like a good 30-foot drop into the parking lot from that cliff, right? And it's not, you can't really see it on any of these pictures. But the back of it it's a pretty sheer face. So my question is, that fence is going to be a good bit in front of that, right? If I throw a baseball over the fence, does it go into the parking lot, or does it go into the, you know,
You're talking the fixed fence at Holcomb Court, or the fence to the back of
the fence to the back of the back fence, the vinyl fence we're talking about, that lines the back perimeter, right?
Okay.
If that fence wasn't there, you could pretty much just walk off a pretty good sized cliff, is my point. Right?
There's a fence there now?
Yeah.
So
Is that where the fence is going to go?
Yeah, the chain link fence, yes, that's going to remain, as well as all the trees.
Right. Well, good. That's kind of
Yes.
my point. Yeah.
Yes.
With more people living there, it's I don't want to use the word dangerous, but it's definitely, you wouldn't want to be back there at night, is my point. Right.
Correct.
So as long as there's no way to get from.
Correct.
You know,
It'll be cordoned
once you're in the thing. Right?
Yes, correct.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And then something that just jumped out at me is the outdoor decks are on the second floor. So are they out of the primary bedrooms or?
They are out of one of the primary bedrooms. They only have a couple of them that have first and second floors, but they are out of the primary bedrooms and view areas like the living room or the kitchen area.
Oh, so also the living room and
Yeah,
kitchen?
yes.
Okay, good. That was when
Yes.
I thought that, boy, what a missed opportunity to actually be able to walk out your living room
Right.
onto the deck. Okay. I think that was all I had. Thank you.
Welcome.
Commissioner Count.
Go for it.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you for all of the talking and responding to the residents on the site in the area. And I appreciate the plan to repave all the way down to the street. I think that's a really great way to be responding to some issues that the residents have brought up. And I appreciate the preserving of all the mature trees that are in good condition and adding the drought-tolerant plants to save water. And then I was looking at the, in terms of the ADA unit, I appreciate the adding the ADA parking spot and showing the flow-through on that path. That the ADA unit itself, though, is 2 floors, right?
It is, yes.
So is it assumed that the person needing the ADA would stay on the floor, on the main floor, and not be able to access the master bedroom and bath?
So in terms of the ADA, we're gonna what will happen is that there's a bedroom on that floor.
Right,
that'll be
just not the
hand-
master.
That's correct, yes.
Right.
Just not the master. So you have to have access to, the bathroom and everything else has to have ADA access. And for that unit, now, everything else can be something different,
Right.
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay. And then on the wood versus vinyl fence, I'm wondering if vinyl is more fireproof when we're talking about wildfires in the area. If we choose vinyl, is that a better choice in terms of fire?
Get that fence for you. So to answer your question, I've put this type of fence in very high fire areas, and all it does is it melts. So I think that from my perspective and my experience, it's okay used. I mean, obviously, block walls is probably a better solution, but harder, to look at. But in terms of fire, they just melt away. So.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Commissioner Strongman.
Clarification on the back fence, you talked about, is it going to remain a chain link fence, or you're going to replace it with, whether it's vinyl or wood, but what do we recommend?
I'm going to leave it as chain link. I believe that's not our fence. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I'm just
Yes.
clarification.
Yes.
So that is blocking anybody jumping off into
Into that ditch.
the ditch,
Yes.
yes. Thank you. That's-
Questions? Commissioner Klopp.
Hi, thank you for the detailed presentation and the history. It's interesting to see the evolution over time. One theme that I caught through watching the old design review meeting and reading all the materials was the issue of water runoff and flow. And I believe the planter is part of the system that addresses making sure that we have a good runoff system, but I am not well educated in that, so I was just going to ask you to explain sort of what the thinking is and how that works.
Want to address that?
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Easton with the Bolt Engineering. He did the hydrology for us.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I'm East McAllister with the Bolt Civil Engineering. The C3 planner, the way it works, and part of the reason it's positioned there is because you need to collect all the impervious surfaces from the proposed development. Typically, that means you need to put it at the lowest point on the site, so we've put it as close to the driveway as possible. The roofs are all designed so that the downspouts will be clustered at the front. It'll drain out to the driveway. We're showing a trench drain as you transition from the paved driveway on paved shared drive onto the individual auto courts, and it will drain into the planter itself. The planter is designed to have 2 levels of storage above it. The first storage is required by C3, the Stormwater Quality Control regulations, and then the second overflow device is actually for the detention volume. We are changing slightly, while maintaining existing drainage patterns, we are slightly changing the drainage of the site. The entire site, today it's kind of got a ridge in the middle and it drains partially out to the west, but we're gonna be draining it all north and east, so we're detaining the water so that there's less flows today than there, post-construction than there are pre-construction. The planter itself has the storage above that I described, 18 inches of loamy sand. The biotics within the root system of the plants cleans the water, has drain rocks, subdrain underneath, and it will flow out once it percolates through the soils for it to clean and to qualify with county stormwater quality requirements.
Great, that's great and fascinating, thank you.
Commissioner Strongman.
One more question, just on that. Where does it actually drain to? Does it go down to the channel down below, or it goes out to the street?
So just off property here, you kind of have a ridge in Holcomb Court. So Holcomb Court drains easterly. And as I said before, the existing, or the previous building and the driveway and the auto courts before all drained down the driveway and out Holcomb Court to San Miguel.
Okay.
San Miguel has infrastructure on the sides, and it's gonna go to those side drainage channels.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, I've just got a couple. The parking encroachment, or the ADA space there. I wasn't clear on all the drawings. I mean, I see where it's kind of marked out, you know, extending into the roadway. But when you look at the detailed plans, it looks like whatever construction is involved there ends at the edge of the driveway. So is there anything physical being built out into the drive there?
That is an in-grade trenched drain. So it's gonna collect the water coming from the driveways. So you drive over it. It's just an in-ground grate. You
Okay.
drive over.
So, and as people get used to the dips, they'll
There's
go
no
around.
dip. I mean, it's
Oh,
flat.
it's just flat.
It's a U-shaped trench with a plate on top of it.
Okay,
So it'll be flush.
very good. And I guess I would ask was the need for that extra 3.5 feet, because it would be difficult to move, I guess it'd be unit 3 back that much? Or was it just, was it kind of an architectural decision as to where that unit landed? That's what I'm asking. The ADA space is in front of unit 3.
The ADA.
Yeah. And, you know, was the need to encroach further onto the street because that unit could not be moved back a bit?
Talking about the variance, right?
Yeah.
So the variance, I believe, is to have parking in the front, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think, because we're not encroaching. So, Samir, do you want to go through that? The reason for the variance, I think we had the same variance on the previous plan too.
Well, the code does require that if parking is provided in the front yard, it needs to meet the front yard setback, which is 15 feet. So that's the need for the variance. But I think what he's asking is why could the building not be set back a little? Is that what you're asking
Yeah,
about?
I'm thinking of I think it's 3.5 feet that encroaches on the roadway. On the other hand, if that isn't just in fact a flat drainage area that they can drive over,
Correct.
I'm less concerned.
It's flat. You can drive over it. I don't think we're actually encroaching on the roadway, on the 30-foot roadway. It kind of looks like it, but we're not.
Not into the roadway, but you're encroaching in that. It
In the
needed to be
front setback.
15 feet
Yes,
away.
right.
Yeah.
And it would be an architectural, I'd have to redesign the plans. You can see that part of this is the garages. They sort of line up, so they're turning garages. If I were to push that unit back, I wouldn't be able to get into the garage for unit 3.
That's-
You're correct. Now I see, yes.
It's kind of a
Yeah, you're
critical
right.
issue, I
Yep,
suppose.
yep,
Okay,
yep.
thank you. Okay, I think that's all I have. Yes. All right, Vice Chair.
Mm.
Needing.
I had a quick question for staff, and then, are they doing the in lieu fee for inclusionary? There's no inclusionary on here.
Yeah, all market rate units, but they are providing the inclusionary fee.
Okay, and
Housing.
that's, I think the required is 15?
It's per,
The in lieu fee of 15%, right, for
it's a
ownership
square, it's per square footage.
Okay.
It's a condition of approval, I believe is,
of the
don't quote me, but I
habitable?
think it's $26 per square feet,
Oh.
plus or
I got
minus,
more.
yeah. But it's in our, it's in attachment 1 draft resolution.
And then, they didn't file using SB 330, but they could have.
They could have, yeah,
They could have.
yes,
Because what I'm seeing here is that it's fully consistent,
that's correct.
which then would have completely eliminated anything discretionary. What I'm seeing here is, it's gonna be a very, thank you for building a very expensive flow-through planter. That's a big wall. It's basically a giant bathtub. I'm assuming it's also providing hydro modification.
That's correct.
Sorry. So it's doing both, water
Yes.
quality hydro mod?
Technically, detention. Hydromod is a different thing for projects over an acre.
Okay, so just slowing the water
It's- yeah,
down versus
traditionally,
retention.
detention is for no flooding, stormwater quality treatment is for
Yeah.
the cleanliness of the water, and it does both.
Yep. So you're doing your C3. I thought because it was all, I didn't realize that you hadn't triggered the hydro mod, but detention is better than nothing, even though you're not providing the retention. Although evapotranspiration will provide you some retention here naturally. I do see I saw those comments about the water. So I do see that you have it super elevated, so you're not draining anything off-site to the additional site. So I thought that was a positive. You also have the trench drain specifically, again, because the driveways, you're not gonna flood the buildings, so you're draining everything out, super elevating it, catching it, and then it looks like it does. I'm glad you're slowing it down, because you're discharging it through the curb drain versus in the pipe. So, and I know that the engineering staff will make sure that everything's good on that. It's expensive to also have your roofs drained to all the way to the front. So I'm glad that you said that, because otherwise I wouldn't have believed you. I did notice from a topographic standpoint, from the other design to this design, when I saw the other design, it looks like you did take into account where essentially you have natural flat topography. So you tried not to encroach, and I think from a geotechnical perspective, that's probably a positive. I'm assuming that I know that there's new maps that just came out with local and state responsibility areas, and that this is not in a fire hazard zone. Right, staff? So otherwise I would say you need the vinyl, because you can't have anything combustible. But that being said, vinyl is more expensive than wood, and if we can get something beautiful from the vinyl and have it be, and be able to incorporate fire resistivity, that's what we all want to see. So, sorry, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of pull out the items that's going to be sustainable, have the fire resistivity. We know, and to be able to understand also the fact that you could have built 10, because you had up to 22 dwelling units per acre, and state law actually allows you to go gross versus net acreage. So, thank you for being considerate of the community and for not building at the 22. It sounds like that would have been too much. So, the materials, the fence that you chose, it's a good, for the little, patios. So that extra touch, which I know that material is also costs more. So I was happy to see that, and most importantly, because I noticed you have finished floors that step every 2 feet approximately. Did I get that right? I'm doing it off memory. When I saw the pads, to be able to accommodate the shifting of the windows for the importance of the neighbors, which is so important. I thought that was very, very helpful, especially when it's hard when you are trying to build the same building and all of a sudden from a framing perspective, you're shifting that window because it steps. So it would have been probably easier for all the windows to step versus having it kind of align. So I did want to point that out. All in all, it sounded like in the outreach that you did, you provided the responses so that community would welcome you. It sounded this way when I'm reading it. Would you say so? You
Yes,
made the
actually,
changes.
If you like, I have the handout that I gave the residents if you want to see them.
No, it's, I mean,
Yes. Oh, the responses?
yeah.
Yes.
So that was, I appreciated seeing that you were thoughtful to respond back.
I actually,
Yeah, so staff responded to the.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But of course, with the help of the applicant, if I didn't have the answer, I reached out. Yeah, I try to do that when I can.
I
Yeah.
actually reached out to them a week earlier because they were at the DRC. They responded to the DRC, so I had those comments before, and we were working on them. So I responded about a week before that in an email to them saying, we're your neighbors. We'd like to talk to see, go through these items with you, see if you have any other concerns. And that's, I think, when they reached out to you because we talked about the
Yeah.
notification, and we figured to just let the city respond back.
So you're the, and I like the mid-century modern look that you kind of put in there, but I'll stop blabbing. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? No. All right, thank you very much. I'll open, I can invite any other members of the public who would like to comment. You can do so now. I see none. So, all right, then I will close the public hearing, unless you'd like to have 5 minutes to respond to the comments that we didn't get from the public. Okay, thank you. I bring it back to the commission for comments, discussion. Commissioner Strongman.
Really appreciate this project. It looks really nice. I really appreciate that you've building a project that has more than 2 bedrooms per unit. Most of the condos that are being produced now assumes that we're all going to live in 2-bedroom units, and it's nice that you have expanded out and have 3 or 4 bedrooms in these units. Otherwise, I think it's a great project.
Commissioner Klopp.
Thank you. I agree, and I'm also really pleased to hear you addressing the concerns of the road. I went to go do a little drive-by, and it's needing love. So thank you very much for that.
I do appreciate, I want to express my appreciation for the consideration and the thoughtfulness that went into this project, taking into consideration the neighbors' concerns and the feedback that they had. And I do like the consideration towards the parking situation, because I also live on a flag lot where I share a driveway with my neighbors, and so parking can be tight when you have a lot of people living on sharing the same driveway. So the consideration to that and the impacts of that on the people who will be living in those homes, as well as the neighbors, is a very nice thought. As for the fence, it sounds like vinyl would be preferable to wood for the sustainability, or not sustainability, the fire resistance. I think. Yeah.
I don't hear any other discussion. Perhaps a motion would be in order if someone would like to make one.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the draft resolution, attachment 1, determining the project to be exempt from CEQA pursuant to Class 32 infill exemption and approving the tentative subdivision map, design review, and variance for the proposed 5-unit project, subject to conditions of approval in the draft resolution.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Would you call the roll?
Preparing my notes, thank you. Roll call, we'll have a motion by Count.
Yes.
Yes? Vice Chair Knighting?
Yes.
Commissioner Moran?
Yes.
Commissioner Strongman?
Yes.
Commissioner Kwok?
Yes.
Commissioner Klopp?
Yes.
And Chair Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Okay. That brings us to item 5, which is commission considerations. Anybody have anything to bring up? Commissioner Klopp.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to provide a quick update from the Regional Transpac meeting. At their June meeting, they approved their work plan and budget for fiscal year 25-26. They're struggling to try to find a way to expand the free bus tickets, which currently is a program that only lasts 2 months, to try to expand it to last more months, but there seem to be a lot of overlapping jurisdictions and projects, and trying to get collaboration between more than one area has been problematic. So that's still moving on. So that's what's going on there. I did have the opportunity to get a referral from me to our transportation team so that I can make sure that I'm advocating for the right things with that group. So thank you.
Anyone else? No. All right, well, about item 6, which is commission member and staff reports or announcements. Any announcements from staff?
Just that we will have a few items for the July 10th meeting,
Okay. Very good.
and actually for the next few meetings. We'll be busy.
Very exciting. We've been hoarding them for a while.
Yes.
Hope no one has gotten too impatient with us for failing to get a quorum. All right, any other announcements? Commissioner Kond.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you again to all of my new colleagues here on the commission, and thank you to staff, and thank you to the city council who appointed us. Just, as a nearly 20-year resident of the city, I'm really excited to be able to join all of you to contribute in this way to our wonderful Walnut Creek. It's something I've had an interest in from years ago when my kids were little, and I started advocating for safe routes to schools, ways that we could walk and bike to the schools in our neighborhood, up through more recently in the past year in my role as a field representative for our state assembly member, being able to see how different cities in our region do planning and how they're affected by state policy. So just really excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Very good.
And I'll second that. I'm honored that I get to join such an esteemed group of professionals, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you. And I also want to thank the city and my fellow pros commissioners for giving this nice plaque for my 8 years of service on the Parks and Open Space Commission, which I will miss very much. But I'm excited to show up here more than even 2 times or once every other month. So my schedule is a little bit busier, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you very much.
Well, welcome to you both. If there's nothing further, then I will adjourn the meeting, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'll leave the gavel.
Bang it, right? Bang the gavel.
One day, you should have banged it when we had the pickle.
Oh, yeah. Ken had a couple of real classics. Hello, goodbye kind of things.
Oh my gosh, I remember.